challenge comes when you are forever putting too many things into that structure and it's impossible. Setting yourself up to fail, giving yourself an impossible workload, thinking you can do the things in a time frame that you actually can't, and that is really impossible because you're not actually superhuman. And that's where I fall victim to this sometimes. So picturing a Google Calendar, you've neatly mapped it out, you've blocked all the things in, and then it's like, that's just impossible. There's no white space, there's no room to breathe, there's no room to use the bathroom. Before you know it, you're tripping over yourself, you're behind. And what does that do for your inner well-being? You're just feeling a sense of failure, feeling a sense of you're not good enough, and you're never feeling accomplished.
This is the Born to be Brilliant podcast, helping you harness the habits and unlock the tools to bring you more meaning, vibrance, and the personal power to help you shine like the diamond you are.
Hello everybody, today I am talking all about overwhelm. Let's face it, as visionaries, entrepreneurs, a lot of us are women on a mission who are also raising families at the same time. There can be a lot of hats to wear, trying to keep a lot of balls in the air, right? At the same time. I completely appreciate that. I built my, I suppose, second largest business whilst my babies were actually babies. In fact, they're part of the reason I built that business, and they inspired it. And it really was a juggle. You know, I had 2 under 2. They were in nursery, and I was still a director of the company I had grown from the ground up, from literally, early adulthood, that I'd mostly handed the reins over on that one. But we still had that business going. And I was starting this new business, and I had 2 under 2. It's huge. So I know firsthand what this overwhelm thing can look like. And it wasn't until probably a decade on and just into my 40s that I discovered, I was diagnosed with ADHD. I find it all a bit of a minefield, if I'm honest. But whatever it is, it's a wiring that I know that I have those traits, and it does make things even more challenging. And I'm sure anyone else out there that feels like this, you'll know what I mean when I say it's like overwhelm paralysis sometimes, where you feel like there are just so many things you almost freeze. Have you ever done that? Where I've done that, where you're physically doing something maybe around the house, and you're kind of like, okay, I need to do that and that and that, and then you just almost stop and go, which way do I go? Where do I go first? No, just me? I don't know. But it's the same in business and with tasks to do, and what feels like a never-ending to-do list or project list. And it's a reoccurring one for me. And I will be completely transparent, as I always am with you guys, in saying that I haven't overcome this forever. It comes back, it rears its head. The difference is now I spot it almost instantly. If I slip into the realms of overwhelm or overload, I spot it and I know how to kind of course correct myself pretty quickly. And so I don't spend, a week or more, trudging through that. So what can we do when we feel that way? And what even is overwhelm anyway? Let's talk about this today. So overwhelm, really, if you break it down, overwhelm is simply having too many unscheduled things on your plate, too many things to do or too many things on a list, too much stuff that isn't scheduled into your diary with a set plan of when you're going to get that done. If you took all those things, put them all into your schedule and could see how quite clearly mapped out they are, and that if you just work through it, they'll happen, you won't feel that sense of overwhelm because it will feel like it's in order. And then you feel calm. So it's not that the amount of things gets less, it's just that they are structured into your diary and into your plan. And so suddenly you're like, okay, got this, it's fine. So you can take the same volume of things and get rid of the overwhelm like that. The challenge comes when you are forever putting too many things into that structure and it's impossible. Setting yourself up to fail, giving yourself an impossible workload, thinking you can do the things in a time frame that you actually can't, and that is really impossible because you're not actually superhuman. And that's where I fall victim to this sometimes. So picturing a Google Calendar, you've neatly mapped it out, you've blocked all the things in, and then it's like, that's just impossible. There's no white space, there's no room to breathe, there's no room to use the bathroom. And so before you know it, you're tripping over yourself, you're behind. And what does that do for your, inner well-being? You're just feeling a sense of failure, feeling a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? I get you. Yeah, failure. You're not good enough. You're just doing a bad job, and you're never feeling accomplished, which is one of the key pillars in our positive psychology and our well-being. So it doesn't help if that's how it leaves you feeling, and you're aware that actually, yes, I hear you, put all those things into my schedule, I won't feel overwhelmed, but what if that's an impossible task? So how do we start with that? Well, a real practical solution to this, and then I'm going to talk you through why I already can hear the yeah, but, and so I'm going to go through that. But a real practical and good way to start is always to do the do, ditch, delegate. I love this method. Take that list of things and look at what actually needs to be done. What can you ditch? What is actually now probably obsolete, unimportant, doesn't matter anymore, or just really not a priority? Maybe it's something you could go, that can be pushed back to Q3, Q4 in the year or next year or whatever. Is it really a now thing? Could you just park it somewhere else? What actually has got to be done? What is in your priority list? What is actually in your quarterly plan? What's going to move the needle in business in this quarter and is on that to do? And I'm a firm believer in the blend of life and business. So it may be a life thing, so it could be a family thing, it could be a domestic admin, as I call it. So what needs to be done really? What can be ditched? What can you just cross off completely and go, forget it. If it's meant to be there, it will come back around when it's the right time. And what can be delegated? And delegation can look like anything, can't it? It could be jobs the kids can do. It might be something that it would be better to hire somebody, whether that's, a housekeeper or a gardener or a babysitter or a pet sitter. It might be something where it's makes more sense to source some additional help and delegate to that thing to them than it is for you to use your time doing it, because you need your time for the more needle moving things that are aligned for you. And in business, it goes without saying that, the team members, it could be an outsourcer, it could be an intern. It could be somebody from one of these wonderful websites where you can hire low-cost project-based tasks and get those things done without having to actually go through the process of employing somebody. So there are ways to delegate, right? So do, ditch, delegate. Clear that list down to just what really does need to get done, and then get that stuff that does need to get done into the schedule. And suddenly, as if by magic, the overwhelm dissipates. And you're like, I can breathe again. So that's my practical tip and strategy for overcoming overwhelm. I'm going to give this a big however. I completely understand it doesn't always work that way. So I'm going to now explain how, if like me, you find yourself from time to time, this stuff. You're like, yep, I know this in my brain. That makes complete intellectual sense, but I still get stuck in the trap sometimes of that sense of overwhelm. So here's something I thought up. So if overwhelm is coming from a place of overload, and you know that you're overloading yourself because you're your own boss, nobody's doing it to you, you're doing it to yourself. Let's get into the psyche of that. Why are you overloading yourself? So is it because you feel like you have to? Is it because you've got some mental blocker that says if you are not busy, if you are not nose to the grindstone, if you are not, hustling hard, that in some way you don't deserve? You don't deserve abundance. You don't deserve money. You don't deserve freedom, a nice life, free time for you, time to indulge. Is there something inside of you that actually, at a subconscious probably level, is making you overload yourself? Or not making you, that's the wrong word, but perhaps causing you to. and it's a pattern that you've been stuck in maybe for a long time. It probably is, by the way. It's not likely that this just crops up. It usually does come from an old, deep-rooted core like belief or conditioning, and you potentially don't feel worthy of rest and relaxation and time out and ease and flow. But what if ease and flow is the secret key to actually achieving more? And the law of reciprocity, receiving. It's okay to receive without having to have done 10 times more. Do you know what I mean? The ratio doesn't have to be, oh my God, I've done all of this, so therefore I can now have this little bit of receiving. It's okay to actually receive in abundance for what you might think is very little output. Just a thought there. I know that I've had to dig deep to understand what my self-overloading is all about. And I do believe there's some truth in that. A deep set thing that if we have to work hard, we have to work harder. It's never enough. It's never enough. Do more, do more, do more in order to then receive. So just let that one sit and have a play with that, because there could be something in that. And then what about then if that is the case? And if you know that you are doing that, and if you're like, yes, I definitely do that, whether it's for that reason or another, I definitely do always keep myself overloaded to a point that I cause myself that sort of overwhelm and I can't manage all the things. You could decide that, okay, well, when I get to the other side of all those things, when all the things are done, then I will feel calm. I will feel at peace. All the things will be done. And then I can relax. And it's like, that's the goal. It's like the whole, I'll be happy when, I'll feel at ease when, I'll be at peace when. But what if that's an impossible goalpost? You trying to get on top of it all, trying to go, so yeah, all the emails are read, I've talked about this before in another episode, all the emails are read, all the things are done, everything's done, I'm complete. Now I can relax. What if that's never going to happen? Because something else is always going to come in. Things are always coming in. What if you can just choose now, this instant, to be okay with it and to sit in complete and utter trust that what you need to get done, you will. What you need to see and hear, you will. What news, what information, what emails you need to read, you will pick up all the bits you're supposed to. What if you can trust that and not firefight to get on top of it all? And all of a sudden, that sense of too much, too many things, not enough time can be eradicated in an instant by a shift in a reframe of belief. That is something I've talked about before, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about. And when we do that, I have a little quote on this that I thought of, and this is something I feel is that the load doesn't get smaller, the weight gets lighter. So it's not that the amount of things and the load is suddenly smaller. It's not that we've shrunk it all down and now it's that's now manageable, thanks. It's the fact that you've taken it and reframed it to the point that you can walk around with it now. So it's lighter. It's all lighter. So instead of feeling bogged down by it, you're actually absolutely fine with it. The load is suddenly lighter. You can choose that. And it might sound a lot easier said than done, but it actually gets to be that easy if you can dig deep, figure out what it's all about really. It's not really about the to-do list. Figure out what really is going on there. Spot it. Once you spot it, you got it. And then address that from a reframe point of view and how you think about it. Because ultimately how we feel comes from how we think anyway. So if we can shift our thoughts behind it, we're going to feel better about it. And then suddenly we are then in that place where we remove the paralysed sense and we can just go, these are the key things I need to do. No, I'm just going to do those. It's going to get those key things done, and everything will slot into place. And I really think that peace and harmony come not from completing all the things, but from embracing that journey as it unfolds. Because that's the whole point, isn't it? We're not here for a destination. We're here for the journey. And if we're always struggling and striving to get to a destination, we're just that's going to always be pushed back and pushed back. If we can embrace the journey and all its twists and turns and highs and lows, and find the lessons and the laughter in the challenges and the tough times, and realize that at the end of the day, we're here for, a meaningful time, not a long time, and embrace it as it unfolds, it suddenly becomes lighter and far more harmonious. So where do you start with this? I think starting with the practical part is really good, because it already will eliminate and chunk down the actual amount of things. So imagine your list, you've done the do, ditch, delegate, you've got what's left, and you're like, right, in this quarter, these are my work tasks, these are my personal things, this is what my load looks like. And then you've got a real load, not the what it feels like in your head. And then take that approach to it of, okay, I'm going to just move through this piece by piece. And it's okay if I have 20,000 unread emails. It's okay. Who says that that's wrong? Who says that that's a problem? Who says that you have to be on top of all the things all the time? You absolutely don't. I give you permission today. So we want to have this calm in the chaos. We want to find joy in what feels like chaos sometimes, and know that actually it is just a state of mind. So if you feel like this rings true for you, if you feel that if there's something in here that's resonated, if you think, oh, this is definitely me, this is definitely how I find myself behaving sometimes, I want to ask you to, think about that for yourself. Like, it is a behavior. It actually is a behavior. No one's doing it to you. It's not an external thing that's coming in. It's an internal thing that you're pushing out. So how can you shift that? And what thought do you need to change in order to feel instantly better about that load? Because I promise you, you will achieve more and you will receive more if you can come at this from a place of higher vibration and higher consciousness, where you are a magnet for abundance, for joy, and it's just higher, rather than sluggish, like you're trudging through treacle and everything feels just heavy and constricted and tight. If you can feel open and embracing, you're far more likely to bring stuff in energetically. If this resonates with you, I'd really love for you to comment on this episode. Send me a message over on Instagram at I am Lucy Shrimpton. I would love to hear your key takeaways on this, or stuck points. Absolutely, if you're like, yes, but there's this, send it to me. I want to know. Like, I love a challenge. I'd love to hear you challenge me and ask me, like, well, yes, but what about in this scenario? So drop me a message if this resonates. It always sparks my inspiration. You are my inspiration. And remember, you get to choose. You're in the driving seat. All these other things just are coming along for the ride. We can't eradicate them. We can't get rid of them. We have to bring them along with us. But you get to be in the driving seat, and you get to decide how you feel about it all. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, everyone. And I will see you again real soon.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, go out there and shine your light bright, because you were born to be brilliant.